Oh, damn. Can you believe it, guys? Less than 100 days. Damn. Less than 100 days, 2025 is over, then we'll be in 2030, and then the world will be destroyed. And I hope I am streaming at that time too, so I can make a funny meme about it, and then die. I'll be like, ah, yes, the sun. I gotta do webcam. I think sometime in the next week or month or so, once I figure out how to do a green screen, I will maybe start, of course, masked. I will be putting my face in the corner. I have some videos that I will be releasing soon-ish. It's what I've been working on. Kind of based. Kind of cool. I've decided I'm gonna maybe like curate like 4 to 5 videos in like a week or so, because you know, low effort content, not massive editing. Editing just takes up too much time and I hate it. I might do very slight editing. And I'll just release them like on a schedule, and like a weekly schedule or something. Eventually, because my brain's got to come up with ideas. I already have how to obtain music privately, what services I use for private music. Essentially, already kind of like pushed out like in my head, and they'll be scheduled. Ooh, just like that. Oopsies. I have decided to get a Nova Custom laptop. I think that's going to be the move. So I think that's going to be like the best decision I've made. Nova Custom Strength, except the Narrow too, if that's your jam. You can actually purchase them with Monero Bitcoin. I would be careful with the Monero. I would make sure that it is the right move, you know. And with Nova Custom, they have really good support. Like, I had an issue. I think because I was looking at who else? Nitro Key. I was looking at Nitro Key. I was looking at Purism. Purism, I've just read so much bad shit about their fucking phone problem that I quite literally think that it's not even worth getting their product. I don't know. I've read a good amount of Nova Custom has a relatively good track record. They have a good track record. Oh, I should have picked the other one. Oopsies. They have a good track record of how they incorporate core boot. They do have heads with core boot. I know someone said heads is insecure, but I think the biggest argument against heads security is you can't encrypt it or something. There's like an encryption problem, and you can just do loops. But I'd have to look deep into that one. And he's cooked unless he blocks. Block him. So it's what will be his decision? At the beginning of your end step, you control 2 more tap creatures. Okay. So once I get once I obtain my laptop, I want to do like maybe a review. Maybe it's been done already. I don't know. On other people that are questioning of getting it. And it's over for him. So like maybe it's definitely Cubes is going to run really good. It's kind of a lot of money though. I really didn't want to kill. If my laptop didn't fry itself, I would have never gotten one. I would have just bitched about not having core boot until it killed itself, and then maybe got one. But I really wanted core boot, and I wanted to do heads, but I can do actually heads later. It's not that I can't. I can add it later. I don't see the value or trade-off. I encrypt my drive anyways, and I am going to look at Buzzkill. I remember when someone crashed out on me about Buzzkill, and they're like overpriced. I'm like, based on what? I like when people are like overpriced on something, just do it yourself. It's like, okay, what is your argument? That you can make something cheaper that's open source? No shit. You can do a lot of things cheaper. Like I have a 3D printer now. Oh, I've had one. I have a 3D printer, a better 3D printer now, and I quite literally it'll probably never pay off itself unless I start selling stuff. It's just the convenience of having a nicer 3D printer. None of my prints have failed. They've actually are the cleanest prints I've ever had. I don't have to do I don't have to spend hours adjusting shit. It has I'm just saying, sometimes, of course, you can do a lot of stuff cheaper if you do it yourself. No shit. That's not an argument. That's not even like a good argument. it's kind of like the laziest argument, because I think it's a knowledge that, of course, companies mark up stuff. People mark shit up all the time. They know their value, they know their worth, they want to spend, like, and if you don't like the price, I mean, Buzzkill's whole point was like, hey, if you want to do this yourself, you can do it yourself. Here's the files. Here's the script, here's the files, here's everything. It's made for people that don't want to do that, so they charge a premium. If they weren't open source and they were proprietary, then I would say, yeah, you have an argument. Like, yeah, it's overpriced, and there's not really a market. There's not really a market that competes with it. But he made the market open. He's like, do it yourself if you really care. And I agree with that. I think that's how it should be. If you have an open source project, obviously, like, he wants to, he or they or whoever wants to protect their trademark and their work and their scripts. So they're allowed to add a license to it so other people can't sell it and steal their work. But if you think you can make something better, fucking do it. That's my argument always to it, because it's just annoying. So I always say, for retards that come at me with, if they could do it cheaper, no shit. You didn't really say anything revolutionary. Or even better, even better, unironically. Whoa! What is this, invincible? Fuck? Oh, I didn't know. That's 2 attacks. Alright, I'm cooked from that one card. If your argument is like, I don't like something, and you have an option to make it, just make it. But if your argument is you don't like something and everyone should just make their own, and you think it's overpriced, it's just lazy. I don't know. That's just my viewpoint. I don't even think Buzzkill is like that expensive. It's like $100. Like, that's not crazy. Or like, and you can buy it with Monero, and you support the Monero ecosystem, and you support somebody doing their own work. That's just, I don't know. People are very out of touch today. We've gotten to like everything should be free or do it yourself society. Quite literally. If it's not free, I don't want it. And I think that's insane. Like, somebody puts time, if you put time into something and you see the value, not a fucking and you don't like the value, don't buy it. Do it yourself. Just saying. And I agree that there's some overpriced shit out there, like sunglasses. Why are sunglasses $300? There's zero reason that you should pay $300 for sunglasses. But at the end of the day, there's $5 sunglasses. So I'm not really complaining about the price anymore. As long as there's a market that exists where I can get a product good, if not better, for lower cost, then I'm okay. Do I question $300 sunglasses? Yeah, think that's crazy. But if you have the money to blow and there's a market for cheaper sunglasses, I do not care. The issue is this mainly stems into the free and open source market, and we don't really have an option for certain products. We don't really have an option for certain products. So it's kind of like what do you do? Like, what do you do? How do you find an alternative? Like, a good example of this is Adobe products. Adobe products are like literally fucking almost like if you become a graphic designer or a videographer or whatever, fucking anything, you just immediately get Adobe or a MacBook, which is, I think, is just retarded. I need a MacBook in order to function. I need Adobe. Like, okay. And I agree that there are... Adobe knows this. I think Adobe just became aware at some point. They're like, there's no real alternative. There's Blackmagic. Blackmagic exists. DaVinci Resolve. It takes some getting used to, and Fedora is the only so DaVinci Resolve only supports Fedora, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. But they do a fucking great job. Way back when I was looking for like video editing software for certain stuff, I picked up DaVinci Resolve. They have a free option, and then they have a paid option, and that paid option is forever. And you can go to certain sites and get cracked options or free options or whatever. But they are super for free and open software. I don't know if their shit is open source, to be completely honest. Their keyboard though, 7.9. But some of their pricing on their equipment is very, very good. Their camera, though, does not work on Graphene OS. That is my only complaint. But you can buy DaVinci Resolve. You can buy it. You can own it. Like, their editing is a little more advanced than I need. This is why I like this is kind of why I like Shot. They're just easy. It's just easier. And then there's some other I've used. I like simple. I don't need a lot of like this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that. Like, I don't need a lot of options, to be completely honest. And that's why I think DaVinci's Resolve is like really good for what it does. I don't know why people don't bring it up. Completely honest, I think they do a sick job. I don't know why their app doesn't work on Android. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird. I think I'm cooked. God. Okay, that's 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cooked on that one. Could not get enough out. Gotta love the internet. Netflix is apparently getting canceled. Why don't people just sail the seven seas, man? Or just buy DVDs? Like, for fuck's sake, man. Is it that much to buy DVDs? Are we that cheap? Have we hit a wall? Remember, I think the $5 DVD bin still fucking exists. Or just buy DVDs. Not that deep. People are like, I stand with billionaire Elon Musk canceling Netflix. Who can afford Netflix, by the way? And who cares who fucking can? We've become such NPCs, we really give a shit about what other people think. Look, there's some bands that have done some really fucked up shit that I don't agree with. But if someone's like, we're gonna cancel this band now, guys. No longer listen to their music prior to your knowledge of this music existing and your knowledge of them existing. Like, I don't know, man. Some real hot dog water society we have. I don't know. If someone told me to cancel something based on their opinion and I did it, I think I should be made fun of. Someone should make fun of me. Unless it makes sense. If someone brings something light to like me and I'm just like, I don't agree with that, I would then think about it, go do my own research, and then come to my own conclusion still at the end of the day. On this one. I need to build a new deck. I am going to lose constantly. So we're gonna go back to reading. I don't know if I can play chess.com though. They just if you know this. I don't know if I can go back to chess.com. Graphene OS. Because they are actively integrating with Perplexity. If you guys aren't aware of Perplexity, it is not a good company. It kind of looks like shit, like a shithole. And I would not be surprised if in the future this bites everyone in the ass in the worst kind of way. Nice. Based. Donate to Graphene OS, guys. The based custom fork of Android. So we're going to go back to reading the Hardin Malik. And we're going to start over. All right. Exploring Graphene OS Secure Allocator, Hard and Malik. Graphene OS is a mobile operating system based on Android and focusing on private security to enhance further of the security product. Graphene OS developers introduced a new libc allocator, Hard and Malik. The allocator has a security-focused design in mind to protect the process against common memory corruption vulnerabilities. This article will explain in detail its internal architecture and how security mitigations are implemented from a security research point of view. Okay. Our introduction, Graphene OS is a security and privacy-focused mobile operating system based on a modified version of the Android open source project. To enhance the protection, it integrates advanced security features, include its own memory allocator and libc, Hard and Malik. Designed to be a robust as the operating system itself, the allocator specifically speaks to protect against memory corruption. Graphinos is an here we go. Graphinos is a hardened operating system based on the Android, and as an actively maintained open source project. It benefits from the frequent updates and the swift application security patches. All information is available on GrapheneOS website. To effectively protect the process running on the device, GrapheneOS implements several security mechanisms. The following sections are briefly described the specific mechanisms that contribute to the hardening of the memory allocator. On standard Android systems, the address spaces for userland process is limited to 39 bits, ranging from 0 to 0x 8800 from on GrapheneOS. This space is extended to 48 bits, and to take advantage of this extension, ASLR entropy has also been increased from 24 to 33 bits. This detail is important as the hardened malloc relies heavily on mmap for its internal structure and allocations. And you can see here, cat proc self maps. Secure app spawning. On standard Android, each application is launched via fork of the Zgate process. This mechanism is designed to speed up and start up and has a major security consequence. All applications inherit the same address space as Zgate. In practice, this means that preloaded libraries end up in the same identical address from applications to another. For an attacker, this predictability makes it easy to bypass ASLR protection without the needing prior information leak. To overcome this limitation, GrapheneOS fundamentally changes the process. Instead of just a fork, new applications are launched with EXEC. This method creates entirely new and randomized address space for each process, therefore restoring the full effectiveness ASLR, and it is no longer possible to predict the location of remote memory regions. This enhances security and does, however, come at a cost of a slight impact on launch performance and increased memory footprint of each application. To understand that, we need to look at Linux user space. Security issue. Address space, we need to look up. This is fundamentally one of Graphene of Android and just Linux in general. One of its major security flaws is Linux address spaces faces several security issues, primarily stemming from the traditional model where kernel's memory is mapped into every process address space. I believe this is like one of the biggest problems is address space has never really been addressed, and that is like one of the biggest issues. And on top of it, users having access to sudo, which fundamentally gives you root privileges. This is somewhat of an issue, but we're going to address this through a very quick synopsis. Primarily stemming from the traditional model where kernel's memory is mapped into every process address space. This design, while efficient, creates significant vulnerabilities. The main concern is that it allows hardware-based side channel attacks, such as Meltdown and Spectre, to leak kernel memory addresses, undermining the security of the mechanisms like kernel address space layout randomization, KLSR, KASLR. These attacks exploit the fact that their processor responds differently to memory access attempts based on whether the address is mapped, even if the process cannot directly access it, enabling attacks to infer to kernel location memory. So I believe knowing the location of these kernel spaces and the application process spaces allows them to map the attack Not sure beyond that, though. To address these issues, the Linux kernel has adopted mechanisms like kernel page table isolation, KPTI, also known as Kaiser, which separates the kernel's page tables from the user space, hiding the kernel's address space from user processes. This significantly mitigates hardware speculation vulnerabilities by preventing unauthorized access to kernel memory. Thus, them not having access to the kernel memory spaces might reduce their privileges, reducing their privilege. This is just like my understanding of it. If they reduce the privileges, meaning that they cannot execute like malicious code on that side, I'm assuming. Although it introduces performance overhead due to the need to switch to page tables during a systems call and context switches, further advancement aimed to generalize this isolation beyond KPTI enforces includes implementing restrictive addresses spaces for specific use cases, such as isolating memory for individual processes, containers, or network namespaces to prevent cross-process, cross-namespace information leaks. It's probably a good thing. I'm assuming not having access to all the spaces in the and this might have a good, nope, never mind, it doesn't. Additional security challenges arise from the kernel's need to validate user provided pointers and data, as user space is not trusted and can contain malicious or corrupted data that, if improperly validated, can lead to buffer overflows, one of the biggest vulnerabilities in the Linux space, and also one of the biggest vulnerabilities in the Android space is due to memory leaks. Hardware speculative vulnerabilities. Additional security arises from the malicious validated overflow. Okay, here we go. Or TOCTOU racist. The kernel must carefully check all memory access from user space, and bugs in this validation can be exploited. Furthermore, pseudo file systems like procfs and sysfs have historically leaked sensitive information, including kernel addresses and user space layouts, which attackers can use to make exploits more reliable. To combat these issues, ongoing work focuses on creating primary memory allocations within the kernel that are only visible to specific processes and contexts, such as using exclusive mapping for cryptographic keys and implementing namespace-based isolation. Recent development have significantly reduced the performance overhead of these isolation mechanisms, etc., etc. You know, performance versus PP versus poo-poo kind of thing. Memory tagging extension. Memory tagging extension, or MTE, is an extension. So pretty much like these user spaces and these namespaces are a problem and they need to be aware of. I think the problem is people that use Linux, they think it's this hardened, secure thing out the gate, which it's really not. It does have its own issues that it needs to be addressed, but you know, Linux stands will refuse to kind of do this. Memory tagging, or MTE, is an extension of the ARM architecture introduced with ARMv 8.5. MTE aims to prevent memory corruption vulnerabilities from being exploited by an attacker. This protection relies on a mechanism of tagging memory regions. During the allocation, a 4-bit tag is associated with the allocator region and stored in the top bits of the pointer. To access this data, both the address and the tag must be correct. If the tag is wrong, an exception is raised. If the mechanism allows for the detection and blocking of the vulnerabilities, such as out-of-band reads and writes, use after free. So this is kind of huge because it allows these applications to be like, hey, this is being used outside of the space that it supports to. It's like a red alert, a flag, like, hey, you're not supposed to be in this accessed area. This is just how I'm conceptualizing it. I'm assuming this treats Graphene OS or like Android or like how this works treats everything like a building with access control. You walk into your building, you go to your cubicle and your desk, and if you say want to go to someone else's desk, you have to get permission. If you try to go to someone's without permission, it'll alert all the guards and everyone in the building like, hey, this person's trying to do this, and it might reject. They might stop you like, hey, you can't do this. We're going to reject this. Like, you know, you trying to do this. If that's like an easier way to explain it or understand it. I must obtain some water real quick. Okay, we're back. For example, out of bound. For example, out of bounds writes the following C code could not be detected depending on the allocator's implementation with MTE. Okay. Since MTE is a feature offered by the CPU, it is necessary for the hardware to be compatible. This is the case for all Google Pixel smartphones since the Pixel 8. For more information, refer to the ARM documentation. Hardin Malik therefore uses MTE on compatible smartphones to prevent that type of memory corruption. Pixel 8 and higher. In order to benefit from MTE, a binary must be compiled with the appropriate flags. For the purpose in this article, the flags below were added to the application.mk file for Teba's binaries to enable MTE. And then here's the flags. The Android documentation provides all the necessary information to create MTE-compatible application. Hardin Malik relies heavily on MTE by adding flags to its allocations. Please note that only small allocations, less than 2 megabytes, are tagged. Less than 0x2000 bytes are tagged. Hardin Malik architecture. To enhance the security, Hardin Malik isolates metadata from the user data in a separate memory regions, holding it primarily within two main structures. RO, the main structure in the .bss section of libc, allocator state in a large structure grouping all metadata for the different allocation types. Its memory region is reserved for only once at initialization. Metadata is quite literally the most, if not the biggest, important part when it comes to just collecting data. Law enforcement collects all the metadata. I think they get most of their cases shut because of metadata. That's why I think people have said, like, it doesn't matter. If you have bad OPSEC, it doesn't matter if you encrypt all your messages. Like, it doesn't matter if you use end-to-end encryption. All they need to do is extract the metadata. They don't need the message itself. Which kind of makes sense. So this looks like all the information. Similar to Gemma Malik, Hardin Malik petitions its threads into arenas, and with each arena managing its own allocations, implies memory allocation in one area cannot be managed or freed by another arena. However, there is no explicit data structure to define these arenas. These existence implement and are primarily affects the size of certain internal arrays. Although the arena concept is present in the source code, analysts of libc binaries from the test device revealed that Hardin Malik was compiled only to use a single arena. As a result, all these threads share the same pool of allocation metadata. The RO structure, allocate structure, allocations. Etc. Awesome, guys. We're gonna read chapter 2-3 tomorrow when I actually tell people to join the stream.